Hi, this is Alex, and if you love music, well, you've come to the right place because we're all about albums. At the end of each calendar year, the RIAA, known as the Recording Industry Association of America, they look at their statistics for the year-end revenue for the music industry. What they found, the total revenue in the music industry for 2020 was $12.2 billion. This is the fifth consecutive year of revenue growth. In 2018, the revenue was $9.7 billion. In 2019, it was $11.1 billion. And currently, as I said, it's $12.2 billion. This is an increase of 9.2% from the prior year. So where does this revenue come from? Well, 83% comes from streaming. That leaves 9% of revenue for physical media, which is vinyl and CD, as well as some DVD sales. And finally, digital downloads makes up approximately 6% of the total revenue. So looking at these numbers more closely, we find that the paid subscriptions make up approximately $7 billion of the total. The number of paid subscriptions has increased dramatically. In 2019, there were 60.4 million paid subscribers. And in 2020, this number jumped to 75.5 million. This is an increase of approximately 25%. That is quite a big jump. Whereas at the same time, physical media, making up only 9% of the total revenue, has stayed unchanged from the prior year. What we find is as the streaming services are increasing their subscribers, digital downloads are diminishing. Last year, digital downloads diminished by 18%. Their total revenue is now at $674 million in 2020. With physical media, we also find that there has been a sharp decrease in the CD total revenue. It is down 23% from 2019 for a total revenue of approximately $483 million. So if physical media stayed the same and yet CDs sharply dropped, what made up for it? Well, obviously vinyl sales have sharply increased. They have increased last year by 28.7%, which is rather remarkable, and makes up approximately $626 million of revenue, and this is approximately 5.2% of the total music industry revenue. Since streaming makes up 83% of all the revenue, let's talk more about streaming and see how it affects us, as well as how beneficial or harmful it is to the artists. Well, first off, since streaming comprises 83% of the music revenue, shouldn't 83% of an artist's income come from streaming? Well, not quite. Before we get into the hard numbers of what artists actually make from the different streaming services, first let's talk about the pros and the cons of streaming. One of the main advantages of streaming is convenience. At any time you can pick up a remote or go to your phone or your tablet and just go to the streaming service that you are a subscriber and log in, and there you are. You have millions and millions of songs at your disposal. So obviously, convenience is one of the main positives for streaming. Another big advantage is you can listen to an album immediately after it is released. Additionally, as streaming has become more popular, also the metadata available to the listener has improved as well. Now, some platforms are better than others. Probably the best platform is Rune, and Rune has a lot of information about the artist you're listening to. I think one of the best things that streaming has to offer is the ability to find new artists. This is the way how I figure out what physical media I'm going to purchase next, by finding the new artists on streaming services. Also, streaming a lot of times by your listening habits gives you new suggestions for artists you may not know, and this may guide you and discover some great talent out there that you don't know about. You can make playlists or let the streaming service make a playlist for you, depending on your listening habits, and you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Another great advantage of streaming is its portability. You can take it on the go, whether you're traveling or just working out. Also, streaming takes up a lot less real estate in your room as opposed to, let's say, listening to vinyl or even CDs. Another advantage is the cost. It's a lot cheaper to pay a service to stream music monthly and have all music available to you versus having to assemble your own music library. One advantage that many of you out there probably haven't thought of, but because, I'm a little bit older, so I've gone through a few little things in my life. For people who are injured, sick, handicapped, it is very convenient to be able to sit in the couch and not have to get up either to change the CD or to flip over the vinyl. So if you are sick or handicapped in any way, it is a great advantage to be able to enjoy music just by streaming. And finally, there is some equipment out there, specifically, for example, Sonos, and you can set up several of these units throughout your home and can listen to music while streaming in multiple rooms. Well, nothing is perfect. Obviously, if there are positives, there's going to be some negatives. I'm going to tackle the major disadvantage right up front, and that is the revenue available to the artist. Approximately 70% of the revenue goes to those people who own the rights to the music. So first, the money goes to the record label, then the publishers, then the distributors, and finally the money makes it down to the artist. So the question is, can musicians make a living via streaming? In the United States, the average individual makes approximately $50,000 a year. That would be approximately a little over $4,000 per month. So let's now look at the streaming services and see how many music streams have to occur for an artist to earn at least $4,000 per month. It turns out that not all streaming services are the same. As you can probably guess, the larger streaming services with the most subscribers pay the least. We will break down each of these streaming services, but let's start with the largest two. That would be Spotify and Apple Music. Although the rates per stream do vary on Spotify, the average is approximately 0.004 cents per stream. So this translates to approximately 250 streams to make $1, or approximately 229,000 streams to make $1,000, and approximately, therefore, 1 million streams to earn the $4,000 a month that the average U.S. person earns. Apple does better. They pay average of 0.008 cents per stream. This translates to 136,000 listens to earn $1,000, which would be approximately 550,000 listens for the person to earn $4,000. Let's look at YouTube. YouTube actually pays 0.002 cents per stream, and that would translate to approximately 571,000 streams to earn $1,000. So you would have to have way over 2 million streams to earn your $4,000. Pandora actually pays the least. They pay 0.0013 cents per stream, and that translates to over 750,000 streams to make it to approximately $1,000, which means you need approximately 3 million streams to reach your $4,000. Amazon Music actually pays similar to that of Spotify, so approximately 1 million streams for your $4,000. So which are your top two streaming services that pay the best? Well, number 2 is Tidal. Tidal pays 0.013 cents per stream, which comes to approximately 80,000 streams to earn $1,000, or approximately 320,000 streams to earn your $4,000. Napster actually is the best at paying artists. They pay 0.019 cents per stream, which comes out to approximately 225,000 streams to make your $4,000. So here you can see the disparity. You go from Napster, which pays the best, and you need still 225,000 listens to make your $4,000. And then we go to the extreme, Pandora, where you need 3 million streams to make your $4,000. So what you see here is only the huge artists can make enough money to make a living. And really, they don't need it because they have big, fat record contracts and they make most of their money on touring and merchandise. So to me, this is the big negative for streaming. The artists really don't make that much money, and they have to make money elsewhere. And as we said with CD sales and vinyl sales, you need to buy physical media because that pays a larger percentage to the artist. And streaming, although it is a much bigger whale, we see that streaming really doesn't pay the artist all that much. One of the other negatives for streaming is that you don't own the music. You're renting it. You play it, it's listened to, and then it's gone. You never have any ownership at all. Also with streaming services, you tend not to listen to the entire album, but rather the hits of the artist, and therefore you lose the artist's intention to enjoy what the album actually offers you. People who buy physical media tend to be closer to the artist. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you physically hold either the CD or the album cover, you're not only appreciating the art, you are reading the liner notes and learning more about the musicians on the album, the engineers who are involved, and other people who helped out making the album. Although most streaming services do a good job, they don't always show the album artwork, and when they do, as you know, it's rather tiny and you don't appreciate the art that the album cover can offer when it is much larger, even to the scale of a CD. Some of you out there, like myself, may have an eclectic taste for music, and by the way, I have looked up several albums that are not available on streaming services. Finally, one that you may not have thought of is you have to rely on your Wi-Fi. And if in your service area your Wi-Fi isn't very good, well, guess what? The streaming will not be seamless. You will have some drop songs, and it is quite frustrating. In the same vein, if you live in some rural areas of this country, you really need physical media because Wi-Fi may not be available to you. Before I render a verdict on what I think about streaming, I first need to confess that yes, I do stream. However, number one, I am a paid subscriber. I do not do free streaming. And I use Tidal. Tidal, as we had reviewed, pays a little bit more than most of the other services out there. Also, Tidal allows you to listen in high resolution, which allows you to listen and enjoy the music more. And finally, the main reason I use streaming is actually to search for new artists, new releases, artists that may be similar to the artist I like. And once I go through the albums that I enjoy, I usually then go out and search for those albums and buy them either in the vinyl or CD format. So, what would happen to me? How would I feel if streaming is totally gone? Well, I mean, it'll be less convenient and it would take me a little bit more work to find artists I do like. However, on the other hand, I would survive. I, however, would not survive very well if I could not own physical media. That is my true love. I connect with the albums more emotionally, and it supports the artist more. Why is that important? Well, artists have to make a living, and if they don't make a living, then they may not be musicians for very long, and the music you may love by this artist may disappear. So that's my view on streaming. I think it's convenient, and it's great to find new artists, but I think to support our artists, again, physical media is where it's at. Whatever physical media you enjoy, good. I am a believer that any type of physical media is good. However, remember to support your artist any way you can. So if you are streaming, make sure you are a paid subscriber. And please also look into those streaming services that pay the artist a little bit more money. And now for last video's unknown albums. The first unknown album is Astral Weeks, which came out in 1968 by Van Morrison. This is Van's second studio album, and although people do say it's a concept album, I find what other people say more telling, which is that it's actually likely one continuous long song with subdivisions within this one long song. This album was not very well received early on. Both critics and fans alike did not purchase this album. However, over the years, this album has become more important. Astral Weeks appears on many greatest of all time albums. In fact, Rolling Stone in 2003 ranked this as the number 19 greatest album of all time. Q magazine rated this the number 6 greatest British album of all time. In fact, this album is said to have influenced Springsteen when he did his album Greetings from Asbury Park. In fact, Steven Van Zandt is quoted as saying, "Astral Weeks was like a religion to us." So why was this album not so popular early on? Well, Van Morrison decided to change his style and leave the pop world. This album is a blend of blues, jazz, and folk music. This album is very difficult to characterize. I would say if you want to characterize it by one word, I would say that word is beauty. This is a very intimate and vulnerable album for Van Morrison. He would never record an album quite like this again. In fact, he employed a jazz quintet on this album, and several of the musicians are from the famed modern jazz quartet. So, how has it sold? Well, it took a long time. In fact, it took 33 years to certify it gold. That is, in 2001, it finally reached 500,000 sales. In 2005, this album was reissued, and it does contain 4 bonus tracks. I truly recommend this album. It is quite an experience. It is similar in a way to the way I felt about Dark Side of the Moon when I first heard it. This album really takes you places. It is not the same mood as Dark Side of the Moon. However, it had a similar type of emotional impact on me. The second unknown album is Here We Rest, which is the 2011 release of Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit. It is Jason's third studio release and the second release with his 400 Unit. In an article written by Andrew Leahy for AllMusic, he is quoted to say about this album, "It is a sympathetic soundtrack of folk, country, and bar band rock and roll." He also stated that this album is bittersweet. The opening track on this album is entitled Alabama Pines. In fact, in 2012, this song won Song of the Year at the Americana Music Awards. This is a really excellent album. Jason is originally from the Drive-By Truckers, so you know he's going to bring that sound with him for those of you who are fans of the Drive-By Truckers. Also, this album was re-released in 2019 as it was remastered and remixed. So for those of you who want to listen to the album, possibly picking up the 2019 edition may add some musical enjoyment. And now for this video's unknown albums. The first unknown album. Great, hope you got that one. The second unknown album. Okay, great, hope you got that one as well. If you think you know the answers to the unknown albums, please let me know in the comment sections below and I'll let you know how you did. As always, this is Alex with All About Albums. Thanks for listening, have a great day, and remember, keep them spinning.